Welcome to Dominant Strategies Decoded. In this lecture, we'll unpack what dominant strategies mean in game theory, why they matter, and how they guide rational decision-making. Over the next slides, we'll use normal form matrices and familiar examples to show how players identify best responses, eliminate poor choices, and sometimes end up stuck in suboptimal but stable outcomes. This slide summarizes the core components of any normal form game: decision-making players, each player's feasible strategies, and the resulting payoffs. The matrix in the center helps us compare outcomes cell by cell, while the side panel points to the key analytic tools: best responses, dominated options, and equilibrium outcomes. Think of the matrix as a map to navigate strategic choices and predictions about rivals. Here we distinguish strict versus weak dominance and why rational agents avoid strictly dominated actions. A strictly dominant strategy gives a higher payoff no matter what the opponent does, while weak dominance allows ties in some cases. The illustration shows how dominated moves can be crossed out, and the main takeaway is simple: avoid actions that are always worse and simplify your reasoning accordingly. Iterated deletion of dominated strategies is a systematic shortcut for finding rational outcomes. First, we inspect payoffs row by row and column by column. Then identify strategies that always lose. Eliminating those options shrinks the matrix, which may reveal new dominated strategies to remove. Repeating this process focuses reasoning and often leads directly to a potential equilibrium or a small set of rationalizable profiles. The prisoner's dilemma shows a classic conflict between individual incentives and collective benefit. Each prisoner has a strictly dominant strategy to confess, which creates the Nash equilibrium of mutual confession with moderate sentences. Yet mutual silence would be Pareto superior, giving both better outcomes. The slide highlights that individually rational choices can produce a stable but collectively worse result. The traveler's dilemma illustrates how iterative undercutting can drive rational claims down to the minimum. Two travelers independently claim a compensation value, and undercutting by $1 earns a bonus, creating an incentive to keep shaving the claim. The repeated logic pushes choices toward the lowest possible reimbursement, showing how rational incentives can produce destructive competition and a poor overall outcome. In the battle of the sexes, there is no dominant strategy. Success depends on coordination. Partners prefer different events, but value being together more than being apart, so multiple Nash equilibria exist. The key insight is that neither action strictly dominates the other, so players need negotiation, pre-play signals, or focal points to align expectations and select a mutually beneficial outcome. The stag hunt pits payoff dominance against risk dominance. Hunting stag requires cooperation and yields the highest payoff if both cooperate, but it's risky if the partner defects. Hunting hare is safe and risk-dominant, giving a lower but secure payoff. The tension is whether players trust one another to coordinate on the high-reward cooperative option or settle for the safer independent choice. Finding equilibria by iterated elimination follows 3 clear steps. Remove strictly dominated strategies. Re-examine the reduced matrix for new dominated options, and repeat until no further eliminations are possible. The outcome is a set of rationalizable profiles that survive the pruning. This approach often narrows possibilities dramatically and can produce a unique equilibrium or a small, manageable set of candidate solutions. The pricing game example shows the elimination process in action. Both firms initially choose among $2, $4, and $5 prices. But $2 is strictly dominated and eliminated first because it yields lower payoffs across the board. Iterated deletion then removes the remaining dominated options and leaves $4 as the sole rational outcome, demonstrating how strategic pruning can produce a clear, mutually optimal pricing equilibrium. This slide contrasts 2 scenarios. When strictly dominant strategies exist for each player, their combination produces a unique Nash equilibrium and a straightforward prediction. When dominance is absent, equilibria may still exist, but require best response analysis, coordination devices, or focal points to select among multiple possibilities. In short, dominance simplifies predictions, while its absence raises the need for additional strategic tools. Beyond dominance, achieving superior collective outcomes often relies on cooperation mechanisms rather than unilateral optimization. Identifying and eliminating dominated strategies streamlines choices and helps predict rivals, while communication, trust, and credible commitments enable players to reach outcomes that improve collective welfare. The final takeaway is that strategic efficiency combines analytic pruning with social tools to align individual incentives toward better group results.